My name's Russell. I'm an architect from the UK. Um, Became registered architect about 15 years ago, and since then I've worked in UK, Australia, Thailand, and I'm in Tanzania. I've been here about 10 years.
Hey everyone, my name is Carlton. As you heard, we're here with Russell. And hey Russell, how you doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks for inviting me. Huh?
Thanks for coming through as well.
Pretty good. Just finished work about an hour ago, so
How was your first experience when you in Tanzania?
yeah, it's good. Different. I like things that are different. So arriving here was a bit of a culture shock, but it was good. My work's really good. I love my job. Good experience. Yeah, a better experience than I had previously. So that's why I'm here, really.
What was the biggest culture shock that you got?
I think when I arrived, I remember the infrastructure, lack of infrastructure, like roads. But then there's other things like the greenery. There's a lot more greenery than I thought there was when I first arrived here. People are friendly. Well, that's not a shock. There's other things like food was a lot different. When I first got here, I didn't like the food that much, especially the street food. As opposed to when I lived in Thailand, there's really nice street food, but here it's quite difficult to find a good street food. You have to, it took or any decent food. So I had to, yeah, but when you find the places, then that's good. It takes a while to find the right places. So that was with food. And then found sometimes the people were a bit slow at doing things. Like, I think because they're more chilled out or something.
Yeah,
Like, if you're in an elevator and someone's in front of you, they're like walking really slowly. It's like, have you got a place to go? You haven't got a place to go. And like I remember I was in the super when I went, it's not so bad anymore, but 10 years ago when I got it, like I went to the supermarket for the first time and they're like scanning the shopping, they're like beep, beep. They're like really slow, like but that was a bit of a culture shock. What else? The weather was all right. I like the weather.
you're more of a hot weather person.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons why I left the UK as well. Too cold and
So, did you hear about Tanzania when you were coming to Tanzania or prior?
no, just when I got offered the job,
Oh,
I didn't really know where. I haven't really heard of Dar es Salaam. Well, that's what interested me. I just got a message saying, "Would you be interested in working in Tanzania?" And then it just went from there. And I've always been interested in working in developing countries. I studied in a developing country, and I like traveling to places like that. I like the rapid speed of things. And when you do some, people appreciate your work here if you
mm-hmm.
build on a project and things like that. Yeah, I like that thing. It's different to where you grow up. I don't believe like people should stay in their own country all their lives. I mean, I lived in the UK also about how old was I when I left? I left about 18 years ago, so I must have been in my 30s. It's like I've been in my country 30 years. I don't want to stay there all my life. I want something different, you know.
Yeah. Don't
Um,
you miss it back there sometimes?
Not really. I've never been back since I left.
Really? You
Yeah.
never left family or you traveled with
Actually,
them?
my mum's come to visit me now,
Oh.
actually, because I don't visit her.
Okay, so it's like her holiday, not your holiday
Yeah,
back
exactly,
there.
exactly. Yeah.
Fair
And
enough.
when I go on holiday, like, I don't want to go back to the UK. I go other places. Yeah.
What bored you so bad that you don't want to go back to the UK?
I don't know. You're just there for so long. The weather's depressing. I remember
Definitely.
like everyone, and like when you get paid there, when I was working, all your money goes on bills. I remember 2/3 of all your money every month would just go on bills alone. Like
Yeah.
it was crazy, and I wasn't feeling. I feel like I'm just doing the same thing every day. Like if I stayed here, I'd just be doing the same thing 10 years later. Just wanted something different, and I've always wanted to work abroad. So that was like one of my goals, which I succeeded. It's difficult to get out of the rut, and I was luckily I never bought a house, didn't get married and stuff, so that was lucky. Yeah, sure, there's stuff I miss. It's not that don't like it; it's just a bit bored of it. That's all.
Yes, makes sense. So you say that you got your work through when you were not here,
Yeah,
right?
I was working and living in Australia at the time. Yeah.
How did you get hold of the work then?
Someone contacted me through LinkedIn.
Okay. What makes you think that your LinkedIn account stood out to the fact that they didn't consider other architects maybe inside the country or around Africa to someone who's literally really far away from.
I think it's a combination of things. People found me on LinkedIn, like on my profile professionally. Maybe they were looking for someone with diverse experience, worked in different countries, which I had. Someone who's worked in developing country. I think they were looking for someone who's a licensed architect in the UK as well, because they already had an Australian architect, and I think they were looking for a British person. So kind of a combination of those things, and also links with Australia as well, because the director who interviewed me, he had links to Australia and UK and stuff, and then so that got me kind of in the door for an interview, and then so that was kind of the professional stuff, and then when I had the interview, there was other connections, that rapport that kind of suited as well, like I got on with the interviewer, and then I had another interview with one of the architects in Tanzania, and we got on really well. And like we had common interests. Like he worked in Thailand, and he worked in Vietnam, and I worked in Thailand, so we had common things. So it's kind of a combination of things. You fit what they're looking for. I think it was, yeah, which kind of you kind of fit. I don't think it's not just experience getting a job. Sometimes it's personal connections as well, rapport with the company, if you're suited for the role as well, your personality and stuff as well.
So it was like it was a perfect fit between the two of you.
I think so for the firm, yeah, and I think it was right because I'm still here 10 years.
Fair enough. Would you consider moving like to a different country as well?
Different country, perhaps, if it was good, but I've looked around and I don't see anything as good. Like, I don't see like the type of work. I mean, I've looked at Dubai and the work. Okay, you got good projects, but can't imagine it being like I have a lot of design freedom here and responsibility, and you can do a bit. Um, you feel like you're making a difference here as well. If I go into Dubai or something, you'll just be another one of 1,000 architects probably working on the same project. You don't feel anything special. You don't think you make a difference either. There's 100 office towers or museums in Dubai. It doesn't feel like you're making a difference. If you're just going to build another building look like everything else, you don't feel like you're contributing to the society, I don't think. So it feels like you're making a difference here. So I like working in this country. Would have to be, I would have to be a lot better if, for me personally, if I moved. But I can't see much better.
What makes you think that Tanzania stands out from the other places that you worked in? Thailand, Australia, and the UK.
It's more, I went to Nairobi recently, and even though it's more developed, at first you get, wow, they got nice shopping malls, all that stuff. But then after a week or so, you start to realize Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, even though it's not more developed, it connects with you more on a personal level. The culture and stuff is more closer as opposed to more
Just the work.
distance. Yeah, and I think having the Dar es Salaam is pretty cool because there's a beach here and that kind of thing. There's a lot of culture, and it's just like I said, it's like different from where it's just like different from where I grew up, really. That's why I like it. I think the people are a lot friendly here, more laid back. I love the weather here.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things because like other countries I've been to, it's either too hot or too cold. Here, it kind of stays the same temperature all the time. I mean, Dar es Salaam, it does. It's just like 23 degrees all the time. I think, which I kind of like.
All right.
I'm
So
sure there's other things, but I can't think of
they
them
can
now.
come up right now. All right. Anyways, you starting up as an architect, yeah? How many years ago?
I licensed around 16, 15 years ago.
Okay. So like how did you get hold of that career? Like what made you have the interest in architect?
I was younger, I was always good at drawings, and I like drawing on the computer. And I figured I was into computers as well. I studied computers, and when I had choice. I was either going to be computers or something to do with design. My design teacher said I had a talent for design. I was doing design and communication technology at school. So he kind of pushed me to go into design, but then I couldn't decide whether computers or design. I figured I'm always on the computer in my free time. I don't really want to be on my computer all the time at work. So I figured architecture because at least you're doing a bit of drawing and you go into site and things like that. But little did I know, you spend half the time on the computer now anyway.
Yeah. If you tell me about an architect, yeah, I'll be thinking about someone who's making the drawing maybe with the measurements. Is that all that an architect does?
There's a lot of creativity. You got to create something from scratch. So you go to a site, there's nothing there, or there might be like you have a boundary on a site, how big site, and it's up to you to create something from the very beginning to the end. So you got to have creativity, and you got to have practical technical knowledge of buildability, and it can't just be artistic. So it's like a mix of artistic and creativity and practicality as well. So yeah, you got to have communication skills. So when you create something, you have to visualize it in 3D. It comes from your brain, but you got to put it down on the drawing as well. So yeah, measurements a thing, but there's lots of stages as well. There's initial design, like concept design, what it looks like. It's a bit arty at that stage, and then later on it becomes more real. You start putting accurate measurements on the drawings, and then later on you have a more construction details of the project, how it's built and everything. So the design goes on for a long time. You kind of layer in more detail as you go along. So the measurement comes a bit later when you put the dimensions on the drawing and they have to build it on site. So there's a lot, it starts off quite arty. When you study, it's a lot of artistic stuff. They teach you like how to, like one of the first lessons they told you to go to a concert and draw what you hear. So like
Wow.
trying to get your creative juices flowing. So it is stuff like that. And you got to design something that kind of relates to the environment as well, reflects the environment, echoes the local surroundings and culture. You got to think, yeah, there's a lot of things to think about. So so it's quite a broad thing, really.
Mm. So, like, what type of buildings do you enjoy making? Residence or commercial?
Do a lot. Yeah, I like commercial. I do. I like doing office buildings. I wanted to do them in the UK, so yeah, I never got a chance. So that's why I like doing office buildings here. Residential, done a bit of everything. Residential, I've done apartments and houses, but they're quite nitty gritty. Especially if someone wants their own house, they want it
Yeah.
their way, and you have to really figure out because everyone's been to a house and they know what they want. So everyone throws in their opinions of, oh no, that should be like that, that should be like that, and it's a bit nice. So you're really detail orientated, the plans in the room. So you kind of with residential, you kind of design it from the inside outside because the rooms and stuff are so specific and the sizes that you have to start with that first, and then you kind of see what it looks like on the outside. But with commercial, it's you have more fun with how it looks, I think, and you can play around with the facade a bit more. I think what it looks like, and they're usually located in a public area, so people will see the building a bit more. So yeah, I like commercial a bit more. I've done other weird stuff like factories, warehouses. Oh, what else?
I believe those are the ones that are really boring because it's just the structural work, the warehouses.
Yeah, but you still sometimes you don't need architects on that. But if you want a good one, then you do. University building I worked on that was quite interesting.
Okay.
So a lot of people will be
Here in
going to that.
Tanzania.
That was in Lusaka. Yeah,
Okay.
that was fun. Yeah, there's a lot. I used to work on hospitals in Australia, schools as well. Oh, I didn't really like healthcare much because that was all the weird equipment and rooms, ICU and endoscopy and all that stuff. It was quite technical. You're just doing it's like a lot of services and everything in the building. So, but yeah, I think commercial I like
Are
the
the best
most.
for you.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I believe that getting a degree in architect is not just enough. Yeah. it's important to have qualifications. Like, what are the qualifications that you hold, and what are the difference between the qualification if you have more than one?
It's I don't think the qualification is important in architecture, but getting the license is more
All
important
right.
because you're not allowed to call it's illegal for you to call yourself an architect unless you got the license. But there's various. It's a bit like a doctor. You can't call
Uh-huh.
yourself a doctor. So like there's a law in the UK and Tanzania as well. You can't. Most countries you're not allowed to use the word architect unless you got the license in that country. So it depends. Some like the UK, for instance. I got like I had to do a degree. It was like BA honors of architecture. That's 3 years. Then I did a postgrad diploma, which was 2 more years full-time study. And then you take exams and stuff at the end, and you got a master's at the end of that as
Yeah.
well. So I got three, but and then that gives you the license after that. But
Okay.
you can apply for the license. You have an interview with the Royal Institute of British Architecture and get licensed. But some people in the UK, they didn't get the masters. They just did. They called it something else. It was like postgrad diploma.
Mhm.
So it wasn't. They didn't. So you don't need a masters. It depends what. As long as it enables you to apply for the license, it could. It doesn't really matter if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
some people might have a master's, some people won't in architecture. As long as they got the license, that's the most. As long as they're a registered architect, then that's what's most important. That proves that you've got the qualifications to be an architect. It's like a threshold of standard.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter what degrees you got, as long as you're registered, that's fine.
But so, like, what are the requirements to get a license?
You have to pass the exams they recognize, and that's usually exams recognized by the in England, it's the Royal Institute of British Architect, or in other countries, it might be whatever the
Yeah, yeah,
national
yeah.
architects are. And they'll tell you when you do your degree, there'll be path. They'll tell the university will tell you what degrees and what you need to do that pathway. There's usually standard for each country, and you do that, and that. They are just in the UK. It's just called Part One, Part Two, Part Three. Reba Part One, Part Two, Part Three, and one's a degree, one's usually a postgrad degree, and the third part might be a master's, might be a diploma, depend on the university. But it's usually standard. It's usually 5 years full-time study and 2 years practical work experience minimum, usually, and that's usually pretty standard around
So you got
the
you
world.
you got your license in the UK, yeah?
Yeah.
So when you go to work to different countries, do you also have to hold licenses there, or you can just refer back like I have this one from the UK? I think the
Uh,
UK one is called Reba, right?
Yeah, that's what helped me on LinkedIn. They kind of, if you RFA is quite renowned around the world, so they kind of recognized, even though you're not an architect in, like for instance, Australia was, I wasn't an architect there. I'm not an architect in Tanzania officially, but you just get it, and you get a local qualified architect will sign it off or they'll approve it at the end. So yeah, that's a bit restricting, difficult to work internationally as an architect, but you can be an architectural assistant or architectural technician. Usually that's the name. You're not allowed to call yourself one.
And
Yeah,
until you're
but there's
qualified.
sometimes there's ways around it.
All right, but so like right now technology is moving really fast, yeah? In the architecture industry. Is it going in a positive direction as well, or there's no any changes that you personally see?
I've been playing around with it, getting ideas from AI. It's quite good. It's difficult sometimes to come out with ideas. So if you type in like, I don't know, Maasai tribe skyscraper in Dar es Salaam, it'll give you some images, some ideas, and then you can start with that. So it's quite good in that way. So I
Okay.
think new technology, in terms of designing, will speed things up. I think so. You get better, quicker buildings. I think, and then there's technology of construction that's moving as well. I don't know what's the new stuff around nowadays. There's 3D
Oh yeah,
printing
3D printing, yeah.
buildings and stuff. Yeah, some of the incredible materials and stuff they do in Dubai, but a lot of it's expensive. But I think gradually we're moving on to more sustainable materials. We're going to go back to the more cheaper and
Versions.
sustainable materials that we originally used many years ago. We're always trying to incorporate. you kind of go backwards, don't you? Like
Yeah.
incorporate all the old materials because they're less impact on the environment. So
I also saw you that you posted the price range of each level in one of your videos, I think.
was it salary or was
Yeah, it
it?
was a salary range. Like, this is if you're an associate, this is how much you'll be
Ah, yeah,
getting. Is it the same here? Because I think the one that you posted is
the
the
UK, yeah.
UK version from your experience in being in Tanzania. Is it the payments ranging the same?
No, not with Tanzanians. It's not, but expats get paid a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I won't go
basically,
into that. I know where you're going with
yeah.
this.
No, 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 no. I'm not going there. I'm just stopping there. But I just like wanted to get the picture. If I was interested in architecture, is there good pay there? That
No,
was the question.
generally, no, architecture isn't that great pay. But it does go up if you got a lot of experience. It gets more if you got like 10. I only started seeing money come in, like, start to save money after but 10 years. I only designed my first building properly after 10 years experience.
No.
Yeah, like, so it's not, you end up doing it, you end up, takes a lot of experience and like knowledge, and you have to work hard, and then it gradually, but if you can continue on the career path, it just takes a long time, and then after 10, 15 years experience, you probably start getting more money. It gradually goes up and up the more experience you got, really. It's not like you're stuck on the same salary all your life. It does gradually go up, so eventually. But you're quite behind compared to other like engineers and stuff, because engineers only have to study for like 3 years. The architects like 7 years, so you're kind of behind, and then get the
That's
experience. It
got
takes
the
a while to
ladder.
creep up, yeah. But you get there. You get the money gets better like the more experience you got. It starts off pretty shitty though, and it's quite renowned in the industry. A lot of people complain about it because you study the same as a doctor and you don't get as much. But like I argue with them because I know some doctors here in Tanzania and they go through a hell of a lot more stress than an architect does,
Yeah.
and then and people don't. So it goes both ways, really.
Mm. So, as you said earlier, that you have gained some skills as being an architect here. How has those skills helped you in your personal life, shape your life?
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting question. Creativity. Oh yeah, because that's the creativity of being an architect. It's, of course, helped me with social media because creating
Yeah.
videos and stuff. That's helped me in my personal life because you always have this creative outlet. It's like another creative outlet I can do in my spare time. So that helps. And there's always that thing, you should always have a goal in life, otherwise you'd be a ship just floating around doing
Hmm.
nothing if you got nowhere to go. I've always had, being an architect's a great career because you can focus on, you wanted to be an architect, and it's a long journey. So when you finally get there, it helps you focus on something you want. So when you finally become an architect, you registered and stuff, it kind of, it's like, yeah, you did it. So after you've done that, you focus on something else. Like,
I want to make my
I
own
wanted
first
to work
building.
abroad. I wanted to work like I wanted to work in Australia or something. I wanted to work somewhere different. So I saved up money and I just left the country and just risked everything and I did it. And then I just wanted, and then I got fed up of moving in Australia. It wasn't serious work. It was, I wanted a proper career, and and then this came up and just gave me the push because like I said, you get more money the more you stay in the same career. If you start drifting off doing other things, it doesn't help you. So I think it's helped me focus on life a bit.
Okay. You have almost 15 years of experience, right? Haven't you thought like opening up your own architectural firm?
Yes, many times.
Then
But
what fails on?
I don't. It's a good career, but I don't feel like it really. Maybe one day, but I don't think it's that because I work for a contractor, and
Yeah.
generally, I think contractor gets more money than an architecture practice. I don't believe architecture practices make that much money. I mean, they only charge a small percentage of project, and for what they do a lot of work, and a lot of what they do, the clients don't really. know how much work they go through, and a lot of it's unnecessary work, I think. Like I remember in the UK, people were just getting wrapped up in like the details of things, but now I've worked in Tanzania, like they can build that thing quickly. So you don't have to worry about a lot of in England they spent a lot of time doing all these details all the time, make sure it's drawn properly, how it's
Perfectly.
constructed properly. I go, yeah, that's important, but you don't waste so much time on that. I think it's just a bit of a shitty business,
All right.
doing a design for somebody, and it's too much stress and too much work. I don't want to be worrying about like where the work's coming from. I'd rather be an employee
Okay.
than in
You
the
don't want to stress with the administration stuff. You just want to work on the
yeah.
buildings and
Yeah, I want to
design.
design buildings. I don't
Yeah.
want to do the other crap that goes with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be worrying about where the next client's coming from. I don't want to be worrying about the cost of the staff.
That's
It's not
not your
what I want
style.
to do.
So that
Yeah.
means you wouldn't even prefer being a freelancer architect, like working for contractors, different contractors.
No, that's like self-employed, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't like the term freelancer because it sounds like someone who's not licensed architect. They're just some dodgy draftsman, and they're doing work on the side for people, and it's not very
Yeah.
well done. You need like if you're a licensed architect, you're not allowed to work unless you got insurance, professional indemnity insurance.
All right.
Otherwise, 'cause you can get sued. But if you're a designer, you're not an architect, they won't have insurance. So if you screw up, the person can sue them. So I wouldn't do freelance stuff because people can sue you if you're a
Uh-huh.
professional architect. You'd need a company, wouldn't you? A limited company or something.
Okay. Right now you're an architect, but also you make content on the social media, right? Is that for fun or like you have a specific goal that you see from it?
I first started it because I was in Tanzania and I thought like no one's heard of Tanzania, like where I'm from, and no one's gonna know who I am. I'm this British architect working in Tanzania. Like no one's gonna I could work here for 10 years and no one's gonna know who I am, where I am.
Yeah.
So I thought like put myself out there, you know? So I thought I did have this thing I might wanted to work in another country as well, like the US or something. So I thought that would help me and I thought it would help my career as well, like
Yeah.
putting myself out there. And then I started watching people like Gary Vee, who's like an influencer, and he
Yeah.
keeps saying like put yourself out there. It's social media is like the biggest.
Platform that you could use.
Yeah, and it's so beneficial. He keeps saying how great it is, how beneficial it is, and it's free as well. So, but you had to do a lot of work. You had to like post a video every single day. So I committed to it. I did it. So I thought, it might bring opportunities, and it has. So the goal was just to educate people and kind of build a personal brand, I
All
think.
right.
But the only way to do that is it's not going to be like, hi, look at me, this is my day. It's trying to give value, give. So the only thing I could think of was, took me a while to think how I'm going to like
Present yourself out there.
yeah, because did a year just doing travel vlogs, but no one wants. You start to realize you have to do about 100 videos before you realize what the hell you're doing. And then you
Yeah.
start realizing, okay, people want to learn something, they want to know something. They don't want to see some guy you never heard of going around to different countries and giving his opinion because they don't know you, they don't
Yeah.
trust you. So the only way to bring trust and them to like you is to give them something. So I started educating, teaching stuff what I learned at uni, what I learned at work, and you have to have a niche, something to do. And I had to choose to be an architect. I didn't particularly want to, but like the only thing I could do is just
Yeah.
talk about architecture. So first of all, I didn't know. I was thinking if I wanted to educate, but like, who am I to educate? I haven't had that much experience. It was like that. So that starts off, a lot of people struggle with that at the beginning. So the only thing I started doing quotes from famous architects. I would walk down the street, see something in Dar es Salaam, and I'd say a quote from a famous architect. And like, so I did that the first few months. And I was doing like a video every day. I think that's when TikTok started getting really big.
Yeah.
So before I did that, I did a year of YouTube videos. Then I focused more on the short videos. So I started doing that. And then I started getting used to it. And every time I'd get an idea of like, oh, maybe someone might want to, if I learned something, about a green building or sustainable building. I'd write it down, then I'd do a video about it. So I kept doing that, and I just kept doing it like every day, and then gradually, it just takes a lot of work. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and this just brings opportunities. You meet people, kind of. I try to separate the personal brand from the because I'm being
Work.
employed. It's difficult to do that, and people
Yeah.
don't do it because of that. They're afraid. I met an engineer online. We were going to do a collaboration. I think she was in the US or something. She said, "Yeah, let's do one." And then, like a couple of days before we were going to do it, she said, "No,
I'm
I'm
scared.
afraid of what to say at work, or I can't do it because I'm a professional engineer. We'll have to put something at the bottom saying this is not real information. Only use it." She's like worried like that, but
Yeah.
you gotta not give a shit really if you're gonna do content. Don't you get a lot of a lot of
Negative
yeah,
comments.
you get a lot of negative comments, but you just gotta stick with it.
Has it ever affected your work?
I got into trouble a couple of times, I must admit.
What's the three benefits you've got from making content?
So opportunities, connections, and I think fun, I think.
Yeah. What's the best opportunity that you've gained, if you don't mind telling us?
I've met a best friend through it as well,
Oh,
and he's come to visit. We've become really good mates now. Yeah,
okay. From
he's
the
come.
UK?
Yeah, he's an architect there, and he's come to visit me. And he's coming again as well. He liked it. Yeah,
That's
so
nice.
that's some good friendships come from it. It has an indirect impact on my job as well, because even the directors at work, they get questions like, "Oh, is it, so and so works at your firm?" So, and even clients, I'm working on a project. I got given a client recently to work on a project. Like one of the first meetings I have, go, "Oh, our son watches you on." It's always, I like the fact that some people as well, they don't admit going on Instagram. They say their children watch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the funny bit. Don't make, if my son is the one watching you, not me. Yeah,
And people like you meet people like you have opportunities like this.
exactly. That's true. Okay, that's
Yeah.
really true. Because I've seen you from your videos, and I really like the creativity behind your videos, like the way you think them through. Um,
Yeah, you meet like a lot of people come up to you as well. Like nearly every time I go out, someone comes up to me. So it's
okay.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Doesn't it bother you sometimes?
Okay, not no, it's fine. You get weird stuff sometimes. They used not as bad anymore. Well, yeah, sometimes you get weird things happening. Like you're making a video outside and someone's just filming you, and then they send you the video of you like doing something. It's like what?
Behind the scene?
Yeah, like strange things like that. Or they might take a photo of you and send it to you on Instagram, and or someone. I had one the other week. I was in a club. Someone just kept coming up to me and going, "I know you, I know you, I know you," and I was like, "I don't know you." You get weird stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So you said that you've designed a couple of buildings, right?
Yeah.
Which one is the building that when you still see till today, I'm like, this is my best creation?
It's usually your latest project, the one you just finished. So there's one in Zambia, and there's a hotel recently in Zanzibar, just finishing now. So it's always your new one,
All
really.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you telling people that you're an architect, what's the biggest misconception they have about
But you earn a lot of money. That could be one. They don't. They think you just do plans, or it's just
you?
plans.
Yeah.
There's another one. So those two things, I think.
What makes you proud of being an architect?
I think so, because you're like a professional. You're not. You can get other careers. You're a professional, really. You don't. You need a license to be an architect. So it's not. There's a lot of careers now. You can go to university. You can just study something, and you don't need to now. You can just learn it on YouTube or learn it online. But with my career, you can't do that. You have to go to university. You have to get a degree. You have to pass the exams. You can't let to get the license. You can't just read a book or watch YouTube videos for like 6 months, and then you're still not an architect. You have to be one. It's like being a lawyer or something. You can't. You can't just learn it. You can learn it, yeah, but it won't give you the license to,
to work for beyond buildings.
yeah, because there's a lot of safety involved in it as well. It's not just design. You got the reason you get licenses for safety as well. Um, you're not designing a building dangerously, and you're looking after the environment, things like that. So there's a lot of regulations and stuff. So yeah,
Okay, that's nice. Thank you so much for coming through.
you're welcome. Thank you very much.
And that was it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and till next time.